Okay, today in this tutorial, I am going to be showing you how to make the small Easter basket with the delicate basket weave that can be used for a decoration or also a candle cover, or you could use it to cover like a jar of candy or whatever you like. I am going to be using this yarn. This is called Red Heart Super Saver acrylic yarn. For the base, I'll be using a larger yarn. This is a 4 weighted yarn, and it tells you right here what size yarn you're to use. And I'll be using a 5.5 millimeter hook. And then for the weaving part of the basket, I'm using these different colors here. This is called Yarn Art Jeans. I ordered this on Amazon, and I'll put that in the link with the video as well. And with this, I'll be using a 3.5 millimeter hook, which it also tells you on the yarn what size or what recommended hook size. You can use different hooks for whatever size you want to make your basket. You can also increase the size of this basket if you would like, and I'll tell you how to do that as we get started. Again, this basket I made for all the beginners out there using just a single crochet stitch as well as a slip stitch. So these are very easy stitches, and if you aren't familiar with the single crochet stitch, then I encourage you to go watch my video on the basics of crocheting, and you will get a step-by-step guide on how to do that, and you can practice that stitch a little bit before you take on this project. So that's the materials we'll need. The 5.5 hook. I've got my 3.5 millimeter hook. Got me a little pair of scissors. This is a stitch marker that I have here to help us keep up with our stitches, as well as I do have a little tape measure. I don't know if we'll need that or not. And that's about all we'll need for this. So we'll get started. So first we're just going to start with our bigger yarn for the base. And we're going to start with our slip knot, which again is in the tutorial if you don't know how to make one. But I simply wrap my yarn around my fingers like this. I'm going to start with my bigger hook. And when I do my slip knot, I just go under the first loop right there. And then I turn my hook, grab this piece of yarn right here, and I just pull it through. And I sort of slip my fingers out. And then I have a slip knot. And then I pull it tight. And then we want to make sure that we are using the yarn that's attached, not this piece here when we start our crocheting, okay? So the first step, we made our slip knot, and we are now going to chain 5. Some people like to use the magic ring, which I will teach in a later video. But if you don't like that, you can simply do it this way. So we're going to chain 5 by grabbing my yarn, pulling through. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, I have 5 chains that you can see there. Now this is the part, it's called a slip stitch. And I am just going to slip into that first chain right here, my hook, grab my yarn, and pull through this loop and that first loop right there. And that's called a slip stitch. And you'll see it sort of made like a little circle there. I'm going to pull this part of my slip knot down, tighten it. And now I'm going to do 1 single crochet. Okay, and that's considered your first little circle, I guess you will. And now we're going to do what we call an increase. And you're going to go into that first stitch, and we are going to do 2 single crochets around each of these 5 stitches. So our first stitch, we want to make sure we get into both loops. That can be a little tricky in the beginning, but it gets easier as you go. So I'm going to put my hook into both loops there, pull my yarn through, yarn over, pull through. I've got 2 loops on my hook. Then I grab my yarn over, and I pull through both of the loops for my first single crochet. Now I'm going to do another single crochet into that same loop, or that same stitch. So I go in, grab my yarn, 2 loops, yarn over, pull through both. So that's 2 on that one. Now I'm going to find my next stitch right here. You see that little stitch right there? I'm going to go into that stitch, make sure I get both loops, not just one. Grab my yarn, pull through. I've got 2 on there, 2 loops on my hook, yarn over, pull through for 1 single crochet, and then I'm going to do that again for my second single crochet. So now I have a total of 4. And I'm going to do that again all the way around for a total of 10 stitches. So there's 1, and there's 2, and then I'm going to find my next stitch right here. Make sure I get through both loops. Which can be tricky sometimes around the knot. This one's being a little difficult. Okay, got it. Pull through. 1, 2, and then I have 1 more to complete that round, which is this little stitch right here. And sometimes in the beginning, those can be tight and hard to get to, but I'm going to use the hook on my crochet hook there to kind of get in there to get to that fifth stitch. One and 2. And now I should have 10 stitches for the first round. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 to complete the first round. Again, I'm going to pull this tight here, and we're going to slip stitch again into that first stitch that we made. So into the first stitch, that first single crochet that we made, I'm going to slip my hook in here. It's typically not this difficult. Grab my yarn, pull it through, and on a slip stitch, we're just going to pull it straight through. And that completes round 1. Now, before we go on to round 2, I'm going to do a quick chain 1. So, and I'll have this completely written out in a PDF file that you can download to read for yourself. But I chain 1, and I'm going to start into my next round around the circle. And in the second round, we're going to do the same thing. We're increasing again. So we're going to do 2 single crochets into each stitch. And if you'd like to use a stitch marker to help you know when you get back to the beginning, you can do that after your first stitch. So I'm going into that first stitch again. It's only tricky in the beginning. Okay, and I'm going to pull through my yarn, 2 loops, wrap my yarn, pull through, and I'm going to do that again for this second single crochet. And I'm going to mark with my stitch marker the first stitch that I did, like that. And that way I'll know when I get back around. If you need to do that, you can. Okay, so I'm going to continue that round, and I'll meet you back when I've done 2 in each. And at the end of this round, we'll have 10 stitches. Okay, so I've completed round 2, and actually at the end of this round, you'll have 20 stitches. So we increased. And I'm getting ready to close this round up, and I'm simply going to take out my stitch marker, and into that same stitch, we're going to slip stitch in, just like we did before, by grabbing our yarn, pulling it through, and pulling it through that stitch. So now we have our circle, 20 stitches around, and again, I'm going to chain 1. And we're going to go into round 3. In round 3, we're increasing again, but this time we're going to do 1 single crochet into the first stitch and 2 into the second stitch. And that we will repeat all the way around. So I'll show you the first one. We're going to go into our first stitch with just a single crochet. And then into the second stitch, we're going to do 2 single crochets. So that's 1 and 2 into the same stitch. And we're going to repeat that pattern all the way around. Again, you can put your stitch marker after your first stitch that you make, which was right here. That way we'll know when we get back around. And we're going to repeat that pattern all the way around. And I'll meet you back after round 3. Again, it's single crochet and then double single crochet in the next stitch. Okay, after round 3, we have 30 stitches. We should have 30 stitches that we've increased. And again, I'm at the end of my round. I'm going to take out my my stitch marker, and I'm going to slip stitch into that first stitch of the round, okay? Not the chain that we chained there, but into that first stitch. And then pull through, slip knot, and again I'm going to chain 1 to start row 4. And row 4, we are increasing again, and this time we are going to do 2 single crochets into each stitch. So all the way around, I'm going to do 2, not into where I chained, but into that first stitch. There's the first one. And I'll go ahead and put my stitch marker on that first stitch so we know when we get back around. And then I'm going to do another one in the same stitch. So 2 in that stitch. Single crochets all the way around, which is simply grab your yarn, 2 on the loop, yarn over and pull through. I'm going to do 2 in the next one. There's 1. One and 2. I'll do 1 more. 1 and 2. And then I'll meet you back on the other side of this round. When you complete this round, you should have 60 stitches around your circle. All right, I'll see you then. Okay, so we're coming around completing round 4. You should have 60 stitches around your circle. And again, we're going to close this round by slip stitching into that first stitch that you made. Slip in, grab our yarn, pull through, and slip through just like that. And then we're going to chain 1. Okay, now you can see this is starting to kind of wrinkle up a little bit. So what we're going to do in our next round is decrease round 5, we're going to decrease on the 4th stitch. So if you don't know what that means, I'll show you what that means. But you're going to single crochet into every stitch until you get to the 4th stitch, and that's when we'll decrease all the way around. So let's start with our single crochet into the 1st stitch right here. I'm going to single crochet. Oh, and I'm going to put my stitch marker on that 1st stitch, and then into my 2nd stitch I'm going to single crochet just like that. My 3rd stitch, and again you want to make sure you're getting through both loops, and pull through, single crochet. Now on the 4th stitch is where we're going to decrease by 1, and in order to decrease you simply go into the 4th stitch, grab your yarn, pull it up, and I've got 2 loops on my hook. I'm going to keep those 2 loops, and I'm going to go into the next stitch right beside of it, be the 5th stitch, grab my yarn, and now I've got 3 loops on my hook. And now I will yarn over and pull through all 3 loops, which basically pulled those 2 together for one stitch on the next round. Okay, so I'm going to show you that again. So we're going to single crochet into the next stitch right here. Single crochet, that's 1. Single crochet 2. Single crochet 3 into the 3rd stitch there. And then into the 4th stitch again in this sequence, we're going to decrease. So we're going to go into our 4th, or into that 4th stitch, grab our yarn, pull up, and we've got 2 loops on the hook. Then we're going to go into the stitch right beside of it, grab our yarn, pull up, we've got 3 loops now. Then we'll yarn over and pull through all 3 loops, okay? So we're going to continue that sequence all the way around, and I'll meet you at the end of row 5, or round 5. Okay, and we're coming around to the end of row 5, and I just wanted to show you how that's ending up. So I just decreased, and I'm going to go into the stitch and do a single crochet, single crochet, and if I don't end on a decrease, it's okay if we didn't get, and I'm going to go for a single crochet, and that's going to be it. So you're going to end with the 3 single crochets, not a decrease, okay? So I'm back to the beginning, and I'm going to slip stitch into that 1st stitch again, pull our yarn through, hopefully you can see this, pull through like so, and we're going to chain 1. Again, feel free to leave comments in the video. Let me know if you have questions or if what's confusing or helpful. And again, I will have a step-by-step PDF that you can download with the instructions, detailed instructions for this as well. Okay, so now we are going into round 6, and we are going to do the exact same thing. We're going to single crochet into the first 3 and then decrease on the 4th all the way around. So I'll start this row with you. Again, this is round 6. We're going to start here, not in this one where you've done your slip stitch, but we're going to go into this 1st stitch here with our single crochet. Then I'm going to mark that stitch. So we'll know when we get back around. Then the next stitch is a single crochet. Single crochet, and then my 3rd stitch is also a single crochet. Again, I'm going into both loops. And then on the 4th stitch, we will decrease by simply going through the fourth stitch, pulling up our yarn. We have 2 loops on our hook. Then we're going to keep that and go into the next stitch right beside of it, yarn over. We're going to have 3 loops on our hook, and now we're just going to yarn over and pull through all 3 loops. Okay, and we'll do that all the way around, and I'll meet you back at the end of round 6. Okay, I'm just coming to the end of round 6 here, and I did a single, and I'm getting ready to do the 3rd stitch right here. And I will end on a single crochet, not a decrease. So we just finished with that 3rd single crochet. I'm going to slip stitch into our 1st stitch, just as before, slip stitch, and then chain 1. And we are going to go into round 7. And round 7 is going to be similar, except this time we're going to do 5 single crochets, and on our 6th stitch we will decrease. So it will look very similar. We'll start in our 1st stitch with a single crochet. That's 1. I'm going to mark that stitch so I'll know when I get back. And then we're going to go 2 right into that next stitch for a single crochet. Then we're going to go into the 3rd stitch, 3 single crochet. 4th stitch is a single crochet, 4. Make sure I get through both loops, 4. Now this time on the 5th stitch, which is the one I'm getting ready to go to, we're going to decrease just like before. We're going to go into that next stitch, pull up a loop, 2 loops on the hook, go into the stitch right beside of it, pull up a loop, 3 loops on our hook. Now I'm going to yarn over, pull through all 3 loops. Okay, and I'm going to repeat that pattern again. Starting in the next stitch will be a single crochet, then a single crochet. That's 2, 3, 4, and then the 5th stitch we're going to decrease again. So we're going to go in, pull up our loop, 2 loops on the hook, go to the next stitch, pull up our loop, 3 loops, and yarn over and pull through. And that was our 5th stitch again for a decrease. We're going to repeat that around, and I'll meet you at the end of round 7. Okay, finishing up round 7 with our 5 single crochets, and then well, our 4, and then our decrease in the 5th. I just ended on a single crochet, and at this point we have 32, we should have 32 stitches around, and you'll see that your basket's starting to kind of curl up a little bit. Again, I'm going to slip stitch into that 1st stitch to complete this round. To close it up, I'm just going to pull it through like so, and single crochet. Chain 1, I'm sorry. Now in the next round, and this is the last round on the white part of the yarn before we switch out, we are simply going to single crochet all the way around to complete this part of the basket. Again, if you wanted to make your basket bigger, you could continue to increase before you start single crocheting upward. But in this one, we're going to keep it this size and start our single crochet. So we'll single crochet into that 1st stitch, and we're just simply going to do single crochets all the way around for round 8. Okay, so I'll do that and meet you back at the end of round 8. Okay, so we just finished up our last round with the white yarn. I did single crochets all the way around. Should have 32 stitches, and we're just going to close this up the same way by doing a slip stitch into that first stitch. Slip stitch. And then I'm going to chain one. And here we're just going to tie off. So I'm just going to cut my yarn right here. Just cut a little tail, and then I'm going to pull it through to tie off. Pull it tight. And for now, I'm just going to leave that yarn kind of out of the way. Okay, and now we're going to start our first color, which I'm going to use pink. This is number, I'll put it in the description what number this is as far as what color this is, but this is sort of like the dark pink option that I chose. But again, you can use any color that you want. And we're going to start by doing our slip knot on our yarn. So I'm going to, this is just how I do it. I'm going to make my X around my fingers like this. I'm going to slip my hook under the first section there, and then I'm going to grab this yarn and just pull through and slip my fingers out. And as I do, I'm going to increase the tension there, and I've got my knot. Then I'll adjust my knot to make it a little tighter. Not too tight. We want it to slip up and down the hook, but you know, not too loose either. Then I want to make sure I grab this part of my yarn. But for now, we're going to take our hook out of the slip knot like this, and we're going to grab our basket that we're making, and we're going to I like to start where I ended with that knot. We're going to just slip our hook into the basket there, to the stitch, that first stitch where we ended, into both loops, like so. And then I'm going to grab that loop that I made. More yarn here. Okay, so I'm going to grab that loop and just simply pull it through to the other side. It came off my hook. So now my loop is pulled through like this. Hopefully you can see that. I just pulled my yarn through to the other side. And what we're going to do to start the basket weaving part of this is we're going to be doing 3 single crochets into 1 stitch and chaining 3 all the way around. So I'm going to start by doing 3 single crochets into that stitch that we just pulled our yarn through. Actually, before we start, we are going to chain 1, like always, chain 1. Okay, now I've got chain 1, and I'm going to start with that first stitch by doing 3 single crochets into this stitch. So there's 1. Oh, you know what? I do need to switch out my hook. You should be using your smaller hook for this part. This is a 3.5 millimeter because we want this to be a little more delicate and small. So I'm going to tighten this up a little bit. Okay, so I did the first single crochet. Now I'm going to do the second single crochet into the same stitch, and then a third single crochet into the same stitch. Okay, so we have 3 single crochets into that first stitch. Now I am going to simply chain 3 right here. So yarn over, pull through the loop. That's chain 1. Yarn over, pull through the loop for chain 2. Yarn over and pull through the loop for chain 3. All right, now we're going to skip 3 of the stitches. So I'm going to skip 1, 2, 3 stitches there. And into the 4th stitch, I'm going to do 3 single crochets again. So I'm going to go into that 4th stitch, pull up my loop. There's 1 single crochet. Pull that a little tighter. There's 1. Then I'm going to do 2. And 3. And again, I'm going to chain 3. So yarn over, pull through. There's 1 chain. There's 2 and 3. I'm going to skip 3 chains. 3 stitches. 1, 2, 3. And I'm going to go into the 4th stitch. Again, into the 4th stitch. And do 3 single crochets. So you do 1. That first one, just have to kind of reach out there and pull tight. Okay, then I'm going to do 2. And 3. Hopefully you can see what we're doing here. So 3 single crochets, 3 chains. Then we skip 3 stitches, 3 single crochets, 3 chains, skipping 3 stitches before we do our single crochets. Okay, we're going to repeat that pattern all the way around, and I'll meet you back at the end of this first weaving circle. Okay, after completing the first round with the pink, ended up doing a slip stitch just like we did with the other ones, and I've gone ahead and started my blue round doing my slip knot and pulling my yarn through just like we did with the pink. And here we're going to do the same pattern, but it's going to be opposite the pink, and you'll start to see how it makes the weave. But the first thing we're going to do is single crochet into the 3rd chain that we made right here, and we're going to do 3 single crochets into that chain, so into that middle chain. So into that middle chain, I want to make sure I get under both of the loops. Both of the loops. I'm going to pull up my loop, and when I do that first one, you kind of grab it, pinch it together. There's 1, 2, and 3. Okay, looks sort of like this. Then you're going to chain 3. 1, 2, 3. It'll look something like this. And then we are going to skip over this single crochet where we did 3 right there. We're going to skip over, and we're going to go again to that middle chain where we chained 3 again. So I have my chain right here. I'm going to look for that middle one. 1, 2, 3. We're going to make sure you go into the middle one and get into both loops. Okay, so I've gone into that middle one, into the both loops, and I'm going to pull up my yarn and do a three single crochets into this loop right here. That's 2 and 3. Okay. Again, let me know if you have any questions or comments. You can put those in the video, and I'll be glad to help you in any way that I can, okay? And then from here, we chain 3 again. 1, 2, 3, and we're going to repeat. We're going to find where we chain those 3 again, find that middle chain. Make sure you get the middle chain there. Don't count any of these. You've got to look for those 3 chains. We're going into that middle chain. I'm getting into both loops there. And pull up a loop for my single crochet. That's 1, 2, and 3. Okay, so you're going to repeat this pattern all the way around and slip stitch at the end, just like we did before. Then you'll cut your yarn and you'll switch out your color. And you can repeat this as many times as you like. I'm going to do a total of 8 rounds. I'm going to do pink, blue, yellow, and green, and then repeat that pattern until, so a total of 8 of these. So continue that all the way around, and when you go to your next color, it'll look the same as your pink. It'll be opposite of the blue, but you're still just doing the 3 single crochets and the 3 chains, and you'll start to see your basket make its weave. And I will meet you at the end of your 8 rounds of weaving to help you finish off the top of your basket with your handle. I'll see you then. Okay guys, I wanted to check in with you about halfway through your weaving and see how it's going. This is how it should start to look. And again, I'm just putting my yarn down in there that I've cut for now. And I just wanted to kind of come on and do my round 4 with you, just to make sure everything's going like it should and you have any questions. But on round 4, I am simply going to, I made a slip knot. I'm going to enter in to the basket, and again, I'm learning as I go as far as camera angles, so you guys give me feedback and let me know how I can make this better for you to see. And I did change my camera angle here. I came outside, so it's pretty out here today. But I'm going to insert right here where we've been tying off, and I'm going to grab my green hook or my green slip knot, and I'm going to pull that through to the other side, and then I'm going to chain 1. Hopefully you can see that. And I just like pull everything pretty tight right here before I get started. Okay, so now I'm getting ready to start round 4, and again I'm going to start this one. There's the 3 chains that we made, and I'm going to do my triple or 3 single crochets into that middle chain right here, that middle chain right here. Well, you can see that. So I'm going to put my hook and make sure I'm getting under both loops. Grab my yarn. I've got 2 loops on my hook, yarn over, pull through. That's my first single crochet. Okay, and I'll do that again. This will be my second one into the same loop. Second one, and I'll do one more. For 3. Hopefully you can see that on the inside. Okay, and then again we're going to chain 3. So chain is just grabbing my yarn, pull it through, grabbing my yarn, pull it through. That's the second chain and the third chain. Okay, so hopefully you can see that. And then we skip over where we did those there, and we're going back to grab our chains again. So we're going into that middle chain. We did 1, 2, 3. We're going into that middle chain there. Going through both loops. Grab my yarn, pull up. I got 2 loops on my hook. Yarn over, pull through for 1, and I'm going to do it again. Pull up the loop, yarn over, pull through. That's 2, and 3. Okay, and I'll chain 3. 1, 2, 3, and I'll continue this all the way around to the other side, and again we'll slip stitch into the first. Actually, I'll meet you on the other side just to make sure we're slip stitching and doing that part as well. Okay guys, so I'm coming around to the end of my 4th weaving row, and I just wanted to make sure I always end with 3 chains. So I just did 3 single crochets here, and I'm going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and we're going to slip stitch, not into where we chained 1, but we're going to slip stitch into that first stitch that we started with right here. So I'm going to insert my hook, grab my yarn, pull through both loops for a slip stitch. Okay, and then we chain 1, and we are going to chain 1 and cut our yarn, pull the loop through, and again I just pull everything kind of tight, make sure that that first stitch is tight, or that first knot that we did is tight there, and then I just stuff them down in the basket for now. And we're gonna tie those off at the end. Okay, so just wanted to check in, make sure everybody was doing good on their weaving. Again, I'm going to do 4 more of these, and I'll end with another green at the top and meet you back there to finish off our basket with our handle and the top of the basket. All right, good luck, and let me know if you have any questions, comments, and again, I will link everything in the video, in the description of the video, as far as the step-by-step directions, the materials, and all the details. Okay, you guys, hopefully you've made it this far in your basket. I just finished up the 8th round, as you can see here, and I just wanted to touch back and show you a couple things before we finish up the basket. I told you to leave your strings, you know, just hanging inside your basket. I went ahead and tied off and sewed in all of mine except the last one. So what I have been doing to tie these off is to take my beginning and ending what I have here, and I just do a quick knot with these, and this is just to help make sure they don't come unraveled. And then there's something called weaving in your ends. If you don't know how to do that, I will have a tutorial specifically on how to do that. I'm going to show you real quickly on here how I would suggest weaving these ends in, but you will need to do that with all of the pieces that were left, to tie each one of them off and then weave them in so they're not left dangling. But to weave in an end, you're going to take your crochet needle, and yarn it in here like so. And then hopefully you can see right here, I'm going to weave my end into that right there, that where we did the 3 single crochets. I'm just going to put my needle through those 3 and pull through. And pull through once, and this is just the way to hide the yarn, you won't see it. And then I'm going to just go back again, but now I've got to skip that first little stitch there so I don't pull it out. I'm going to go back again for a second time. Now usually you do 3 or 4 times, but since we tied that knot in the beginning, I think 2 is sufficient. And then what I do is just do a quick knot around one of the loops. My yarn came off. That's why you want to leave your tails long enough so that you can do this. I do a quick knot around one of the loops. Hopefully you can see this. And again, please leave your comments and share with me so I can adapt my videos and make them as helpful as possible for you guys in the future as I learn with you on how to help us all on our crocheting journey. And then at that point you can pull that off, cut your yarn down like so, and then you take your crochet needle and you just stuff the that knot and that end back into the those stitches there. So it can be a little tricky, especially with this small yarn, but I'm just going to hide that back in there. And this is called weaving in your ends. And when you change colors a lot, it can leave quite a few ends to weave in. There are other methods for this, but since we were weaving, this is about the only way I know to do it. Okay, and then that is in there like that, and you can't see it. And I'll do this one the same way and weave it in, and I've already weaved in the rest of my yarn. But for now, I'm going to show you the rest of your basket. We're going to pick back up our white yarn, the bigger yarn that we started with, and we are going to make sure we're using our bigger hook as well. And we're going to do our slip knot again, like we've been doing. And we're going to take it off the hook so that we can add it onto our basket, just like we've been doing with our other yarns. So I'm going to insert my hook. Grab that hoop right here, pull it through, and chain 1 with the yarn that is attached. I gotta get some more yarn here. Okay, I'll put that down in there and get it out of the way. So we're going to chain 1. Now, with our, so we've got chain 1 with our white yarn, where we are going to simply go around the top of your basket in every middle stitch. I think it's every third stitch. So I'm going to pull this tight. So starting with the triple single crochets here, I'm going to go in that middle stitch and I'm just going to do a single crochet. If I can get it in there. The top one can be kind of tough since these were smaller, but I'm just going to, got 2 loops on my hook, yarn over, pull through. Okay, so I did one single crochet, and now I'm going to do a single crochet in the center of those 3 chains. So basically every 3 stitches we're doing a single crochet all the way around. Make sure I'm in the center here. And I'm going to do a single crochet. And again, I'm coming back around to the 3 single crochets here. I'm going to do a single crochet in that center stitch. And I'm continue that all the way around, doing a single crochet in the center of my chains and then in the center of my single crochets. Just 1, 1, 1 all the way around, and I'll meet you back after you finish that round. Okay, made it back around with the single crochets every third stitch here, as you can see, and we're getting ready to close this off again with a slip stitch. You may have found that it was a little snug getting those stitches in there simply because we were using a bigger yarn and a bigger hook, but it will get easier from here. So we are going to slip stitch into that first stitch like we've been doing to close our round. So I'm going to slip stitch into here and close the round, and again I'm going to chain 1. So this is where we're at, and now we are simply going to do another round of single crochets around the top. One more round just like we did in all of the same stitches, just single crochets around the top. Start with that first stitch, which is right here. And then my next stitch right here. And then I'm going to continue that all the way around and meet you back to finish with our handle. Okay, so once again, back around, we're going to slip stitch to that first stitch to complete that round, just like this. And I'm going to chain 1. And now we're just going to slip stitch around our basket until we get to halfway, to wherever your halfway point is on your basket. And a slip stitch again is just simply when we go into the stitch and we yarn over, we pull through, but instead of yarning over again, we're just going to pull through the stitch, and that makes a slip stitch. Hopefully you can see that. So I'm going to do that until I get halfway around my basket. Okay, and when I'm at the halfway point, however many stitches you have around the top, you just want to simply go halfway around. And when you get to the halfway point, you are simply going to chain 20 chain stitches. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, one more yarn, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Okay, so we've got 20. And from here, you are simply going to single crochet all the way back down. Well, I'm sorry, first we're going to connect it. So we're going to connect to the opposite side directly across by simply doing a slip stitch into that chain. I'm going to slip stitch it directly across into that chain, pulling it through like so, and I'm going to do one chain there. And now I'm going to turn my work so that I'm working back the other way with my little handle, and I'm going to do a single crochet into each of these stitches all the way back down here. I'll do the first one with you, and then I'll meet you back here. So into that first stitch right here, we're going to just enter it and make sure we get through both loops. Grab my yarn and single crochet, and I'm going to do that all the way down to the other side and meet you back here. Okay, and on the final, we just single crocheted all the way across our handle like so, and we are coming to back to the basket here. I just finished my 20th stitch, and I am going to slip stitch right into that next stitch just like before, and that will attach our handle. And now we can simply slip stitch around the rest of the other half of the basket because we've already slip stitched the other side. So I'm just going to continue to slip stitch around the basket like so. Make sure you can see. Grab my yarn and pull it through. Slip stitch, slip stitch, do another one. We are just about to finish our little basket, and I'll include the egg tutorial as well, how to make the Easter eggs that I made for this little basket, in the link below. And I will also have the PDF available for you to print off that will have the step-by-step instructions, the materials, and everything that you need to make this basket if you'd like to see them on paper. Okay, so that was my last slip stitch right there. And now I am simply going to chain one, pull up my yarn like we've been doing, cut my yarn, pull it through, and then I will go and tie this yarn off, or weave this yarn in like I showed you the other ones. And there we have our little basket for Easter decorations. Now again, this one's pretty small. We can increase the size of this. If you had a larger candle or jar or something you wanted to make, you could simply increase the base and the size of this very easily and make it whatever size you want it to be. But I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Please let me know your comments and send pictures of your baskets that you make using whatever colors you want to make. And like I said, I'll include the egg tutorial on this video link as well. Thanks again, and be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel. I'm going to be uploading several Easter items, really cute, beginner-friendly, single crochet items that you can make for Easter. Thanks again for watching.